Murder on a grand scale. Their gunmen walked into a betting shop in a Catholic area in Belfast and sprayed it with bullets. Five people were killed, 15 injured in this massacre.
According to the Crown case, 47 shots were fired by the two gunmen who used an assault rifle and a 9mm pistol in the shooting at the Ormeau Road betting shop. 5 people died in the attack on February the 5th. The Crown lawyer also told the High Court that forensic tests had shown that the guns had been used in 3 previous killings. The rifle had been used to kill Seamus Morris and Peter Dolan at Ardoyne in 1988. The pistol was used in the murder of Aidan Wallace in the Devonish Arms in Belfast just before Christmas.
When the shooting in Sean Graham Bookmakers on the Lower Ormeau Road finally stopped, 5 people were dead. James Kennedy, 15, Jack Duffin, 66, Peter McGee, 18, William McManus, 54, and Christy Doherty, 52. Another 6 people were injured. One local resident said the scene of the massacre looked like the inside of an abattoir. Mark Sykes, who was 23 years old then. He was shot 4 times, twice in the chest and twice in the arms as he raised them to protect himself. Young Peter McGee was his brother-in-law and had probably entered the bookies just ahead of the 2 UFF gunmen who took his life. Earlier that day, a UDR checkpoint had been set up in a public parking lot on University Avenue, just across the street from Sean Graham's. The vehicle was parked from 8 a.m. that morning and remained in this location until 2:10 p.m., when it suddenly disappeared. Within 15 minutes of the UDR's disappearance, the UFF arrived on the scene. They parked on the same street, in the exact same space that had just been vacated. It was February 5th, 1992. The car used in the attack was a blue Ford Escort. This had been purchased on January 27th at carried off auctions for £370, and the seller, confidently, identified the person who purchased it. He is referred to as Suspect 1. The fingerprints of Suspect 2, now deceased, were found on the original bidding slip at the auction, and the RUC were aware of this within days of the attack. Despite this, and the fact that he was known to be the UDA-UFF commander for the area that the attack occurred in, there was a significant delay of over 4 months in arresting him. He was never charged. It is believed that he planned the attack but did not take part. Another car, also a blue Ford Escort, was hired on the morning of the attack and used as a second getaway car. It was parked nearby and was then used as the other getaway vehicle when the first vehicle was abandoned. Several witnesses to the attack had provided descriptions of the gunmen, with one witness making a more formal identification within hours. The RUC were aware of all of this information from 9:40 p.m. on the evening of the atrocity. Importantly, they were aware of the existence of a second blue Ford Escort and some identifying details in respect of this car. Astonishingly, the second blue Ford Escort was stopped by the RUC twice in Belfast on the evening of the atrocity, and on both occasions those traveling in the car included the key suspects who were known members of the South Belfast UDA. It also emerged that shortly before the attack, an unmarked RUC vehicle followed in the Stranmillis area, but did not stop the car or question the occupants. 3 fibers from the first getaway car were found on a shirt from Suspect 1, who was also identified as purchasing this car at the auction. These fibers were later dismissed as of no use by Forensic Science Laboratory. A further blood sample, which provided DNA, was found on the coat of Suspect 4. This suspect was also in the car on both occasions when the car was stopped by the RUC in the hours after the murders. 46 shots were fired in total in the attack within the confined and small space. Despite the close proximity of the gunmen, who had to step over the victims to shoot them as they lay on the ground and then walk back across the room, It was stated that no forensics were found on the first getaway car. It was also claimed that no gun residue was found. This despite survivors describing the smoke-filled room as choking. A suspect was eventually charged in connection with the atrocity, but these charges were dropped without explanation by the then Director of Public Prosecutions, despite forensic evidence and identification by several witnesses. If one considers all the evidence in relation to and including the role of agents, RUC Special Branch, and the role of the UDR, there is clear evidence of collusion between the state and its agents. Within hours of the attack, the cover-up began. Why did members of the British Army's Weapons Intelligence Section attend the murder scene? A week later, during the reconstruction, why did the RUC refuse to provide the ballistics history of weapons to the families and the media? Why, in May 1992, were the families not informed of the recovery of a weapon or of those arrested? Injured survivors struggle to come to terms with what happened that day. Flashbacks, chronic pain, panic attacks, and nervousness are but some of the lasting symptoms. Survivors' guilt also surrounds the atrocity, and a host of related illnesses that are linked to lifestyle coping mechanisms affect the injured and bereaved. Most of all, the life taken has left an unimaginable vacuum, an emptiness, which only those bereaved in similar circumstances can fully appreciate or understand.